Hey everybody, welcome back to Board Game Blender. My name is Z Garcia, and today we're taking a look at board games that make us feel like we are in video games, or that give us the same vibe, the same emotions that video games trigger. It might be because you are managing resources, and so they make you feel like you're playing one of those video games in which you have to keep a lot of little things in mind. Or maybe they are action-packed and make you feel like you are, blowing your way through a campaign in a video game. There's lots of reasons why, but I think these two hobbies, a lot of folks enjoy both of them, and I think there's a fun amount of value to be had in finding one that feels like the other. I, for one, love video games that give me that feeling of playing a board game, right? And there are pluses that come with that. There's benefits that you get from it being a video game. We're not really tackling here a board game that got turned into a video game. That's a different thing. But hopefully you'll find at least one new thing that you maybe haven't heard about before or haven't really looked into that will pique your interest. So without further ado, let's check out the episode. I hope you have fun. I'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
What's up, guys? I'm Ben.
And I'm Tommy.
And we are talking board games.
And today on Board Game Blender, we are talking about games that remind you of video games.
Video games.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Is that a thing? That's
I think
a
so.
movie, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe a book. You can tell how
We are very cultured in our...
if we were playing through the ages, we'd be probably closer towards the top of that culture track.
We would.
Yeah.
But we're not.
It was a nerdy board game reference.
But
It wasn't even funny.
Anyways, our choice for a game that feels most like a video game is Gloomhaven. But surprisingly, it doesn't feel like a board game? I mean, a video game?
I think going into this, there are a few games that I would think of that are more video game-like, such as Adrenaline.
Yes.
Being talked about.
Yes.
Hopefully I didn't
Spoiler alert.
spoil anything. I think Massive Darkness feels like Diablo.
Been there, done that.
We've already covered that. So I think this is a close thing, and I mean, yeah, it feels like a video game. I mean, it might feel more like an RPG than a video game.
So that's kind of my caveat. Gameplay-wise, it doesn't, because it's very slow. As you're choosing your cards, taking turns around the table, a single scenario plays out over 2 hours where you go through a couple rooms, the way you're activating your card. No.
Yeah.
What feels like a video game is the overarching campaign.
Yes.
The leveling up of your character.
The exploration.
The exploration of the story. The unlocking new characters, that's one of my favorite things in video games. It's like I start off with 4 characters.
Oh, that's so true.
Then you have all those blacked out images of characters, and you're like, that one looks so cool. How do I get him?
You see the silhouette, and you're like, what? And then you unlock it, and it's like a baby.
Yeah, and you're like, nope, go back. I need the other one. And you're like, it's like your mission to unlock. That's this game.
Yeah, no, it's so cool, and you could play this game just for that purpose, to be like, when I think of exploration or unlocking stuff, I think of Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
Because in Assassin's Creed, you have a percentage. This is the percent that you've unlocked. This is the percent of this you've unlocked. You've unlocked this much territory, this many items. That's...
Yeah, it keeps that tracking.
You want to go and get 100% with everything. And that's kind of how this feels. Mm-hmm. You're like, I want to get that character. I want to get everybody to level 9. I want to get all these items. I want to unlock everything. It feels so much like that. But yeah, and the fact that it's... I will say that it feels more like an RPG when it comes to gameplay.
Yeah. And in case our enthusiasm was not enough, this gets from me an obvious beat. I heard about it, I was skeptical.
Yeah.
I'm a believer.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to side with you. I wanted to not like this game. I really did.
I know.
But...
It's good.
It's good. It's good. That feeling of unlocking stuff, I don't care much for the exploration, but I want to retire my hero. Yeah. I want to get a new guy and be like, oh, this guy's so cool, and be like, no, my other guy was so much better. But you're locked into that. But you get attached to it.
You do, yeah. It's
cool.
You invest, there's a lot of investment, time and effort-wise, and it makes... Guys, if you did not get the Kickstarter, it's coming to retail soon. It's pricey, but if you think it's for you, check it out.
Go check out our video about this specifically. Yeah. We kind of go into a little bit more detail about whether or not you think you might like this, but all in all, this is a great game. Definitely worth checking out at very least. Maybe don't buy it, but if you have a friend and you're like on the fence about it,
get in on that campaign.
Play a few campaigns, a few games with it. Really good game.
Anyways, we get a thumbs up to Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Follow us on our social media.
Yep, we are.
And our channel,
all around
especially.
Channel. But for now, enjoy the rest of Blender.
Yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.
Hey guys, Tiff here. When thinking of board games that are video game-esque, I tried to get past all of my games with pixelated art and think more about gameplay. My board game club likes real-time games, so things like Escape Curse the Temple and Fuse came to mind, but ultimately my love for dungeon crawling and fantasy characters made me focus on the delightfully quirky dice game, Dungeon Fighter. Dungeon Fighter is a cooperative dungeon crawl dexterity game from Cranio Creations. It plays 1 to 6 players in roughly 45 minutes. Each player starts with a unique hero card that tells them which items they will carry into the dungeon, and their special abilities for when they roll the eye icon on the attack dice. You then set out on a map of the dungeon consisting of 3 cards depicting the different types of rooms like shops and healing fountains, and they all lead to a final boss. The overhead perspective and ability to choose your path through the map definitely gives it that video game feel. As you navigate the dungeon, you'll enter dangerous rooms, which require you to encounter monster cards. These tell you how many life points the monster has, how much damage he deals, any special requirements you need to meet to defeat him, and the amount of gold you will get if you do. Your party battles the monsters in rounds by bouncing 3 dice, 1 red, 1 green, 1 blue, off the table and onto a target board, dealing damage equal to the number indicated, plus any special ability modifiers. If the target's missed, the player takes damage. Once the players are out of dice, the monster deals damage to the entire party. Players that lose all of their life points faint and are out of the rest of the battle. They are revived afterwards, but they get a scar that covers one of their abilities and 3 life points, weakening them for the rest of the game. If you are able to bring down the monster, you receive his gold and can spend it in shops to buy bonus dice, potions, armor, and weapons. Potions give you bonuses like +2 on an attack or health, armor affects damage, and weapons give you opportunities to get bonuses by throwing your dice in unique ways, like under your leg. If you fight your way through the entire dungeon without gaining 3 scars, you will battle the final boss. The rulebook provides you with a point rating system to gauge just how successful your victory has been, with heroic awesomeness beyond human comprehension being the top honor. Dungeon Fighter is a weird game, which I think comes mainly from the odd mix of dexterity and adventuring mechanisms. It definitely evokes the feeling of a turn-based RPG as you bump into monsters at every turn and try to defeat them using your special abilities. Just like a video game, you can set the difficulty level by using various distributions of monster cards, and there's no worrying about replayability since there are 4 elemental-themed expansions. Ultimately, this game is most fun when you get difficult combinations of equipment, rooms, and monsters, so you end up flicking dice off of your wrist, bouncing it twice, and doing it all while blindfolded. Most of the time it ends in disappointment, but when you actually nail a crazy shot to defeat a monster, it's a loud and unforgettable gaming moment. If you're looking for an adventure game that tests your dexterity and has a great sense of humor, I highly recommend Dungeon Fighter. Check it out, and I'll see you back next time.
Welcome to Bickering over Board Games, where we discuss trends in board games and how we feel about them. My name's Brett, and this is my wife,
Kaylee.
So I thought that we should talk about the trend of app integration into board games. Imperial Assault just recently got an app that can play the bad guys much the same way they've had for Descent 2nd Edition, and there's a couple other good examples. Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition has an app, whereas the 1st edition was everyone against one player. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, that's the game that I probably have the most strong opinion about the use of an app, because it's the one that we've played the most.
And
either way.
Exactly.
I can see some pros to the app. It went a lot faster when our friend who normally plays as the bad guy isn't sitting over there trying to think out his turns.
Fewer rules issues.
But at the same time, it kind of lost something. The puzzles were a little bit harder to do because they couldn't physically look at them the same way.
Right, because all the puzzles are now in the app. There's this fine line on app integration in board games, in my opinion. Either it's so light that it doesn't even need to exist, or it's like you do too much and it gets to a point where you really do feel like you're playing a video game and not a board game anymore. And so for me, Mansions of Madness, it's like I feel like they're guilty of both things. On the one hand, I wish that there were some physical puzzles still, but on the other hand, there are things that the app doesn't do that is sort of frustrating, like you don't tell the app where your characters are, and so that can lead to weird things, especially considering there's no back button.
It kind of seems that it was easier to beat the app as well.
Yeah, it's definitely easier.
Because it's not a human who's reacting to you in the same way. The app for Mansions and Madness might be nice because then you and I could play it together, but if we're going to play a game in that universe, is Mansions and Madness really the game we're going to go to? In the Cthulhu and Jenny Barnes realm. So...
I'm not sure everybody defines the genre around Jenny Barnes. But,
I do.
Yeah.
If it has Jenny Barnes in it.
Fair enough.
So what about XCOM?
I don't know. I was hoping for a better transition. To XCOM, which this is a hectic, crazy game. And, sorry, Gizmo. This is a game that cannot be played without an app. But it also still feels like a board game. There's still a board, there's still pieces. And the thing that's really cool about the app is that this is a asymmetrical cooperative game. But the app helps maintain that a little bit. On the other hand, I don't even think the game has a rule book. But what do you think about the trend overall? I mean, I feel like we're seeing more and more games integrate apps in some way.
I don't particularly care for it. I feel like I spend most of my day looking at a computer screen, looking at a phone, and I think that regardless of what happens with an app, I will always think it is out to get me or that, and I know that's not how they work. And that
or like
this
they
isn't,
cheat or something?
Yeah, but that being said, I appreciate them for what they are, but I don't think that every single game should have a digital app now. And I don't even like video games, so there you go.
And I do, right? So I guess I have that perspective. With video games, a lot of the mechanics of the game are hidden behind a proverbial wall. And I feel like one of the temptations of using apps in board games is to take care of some of the housekeeping, the maintenance of the board, to sort of make it easier to get to the table and get off the table. I think that runs the risk of putting some of that stuff behind a curtain, and so you lose that aspect of it, which I think is a real loss. I think things like Imperial Assault, it makes sense to offer the option. If you're investing...
The option is nice.
Options are good. Options are valuable. That's why they trade them on the... My dad used to say that.
Oh, okay.
It's a joke about stocks.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm Max from Games for Families.
Hi, I'm Tess from Games for Families. Hi, I'm George from Games for Families, and this is our dog.
This is a magic dog. Gizmo, our 7-month-old toy poodle puppy, has chewed so many tokens, chits and meeples that he's developed the ability to tell which of two games, based on feeling like video games, is better.
But don't try this at home, it only works with him because he's so cute.
And magic. So now we're going to find out which of two games chosen by these guys is better in Gizmo Knows.
Part 3. This is a game called Rampage that is based on a video game. I really like it because there's lots of getting your monsters and smashing them on top of buildings and eating people and eating buildings. But if you jump on top of a building and some meeples go off the edge, they get put on this board in the corresponding colour, which I think is a good idea. But bearing in mind, if they go off the board, they may be eaten by small dogs. Gizmo. But yeah, so you knock over these buildings by either flicking your feet to the base of them, then going there, and if it's touching the curb around the building, you can jump on it. Or you could flick a vehicle from the top of your head, or you could place your chin on top of the monster's head and blow. Okay, we're done. So this is my game, Star Wars Imperial Assault, which is a 2 to 5 player game, although I highly advise you don't play it with 5 players, where there's two sides, the Rebels and the Imperials, who are fighting each other to try and complete their objectives first. I also like how you get upgrades as you go along to up-level your hero. And some of the upgrades aren't actually items, they're skills you can learn. So one of hers is Dancing Weapon, where she basically throws any near-range weapon she has, which is pretty cool. Also, all of the map tiles are unique and they're double-sided, so you can make pretty cool maps and everything. So there's one other thing which is completely amazing, which there's an app you can get on your phones, iPods, whatever, which makes it A, cooperative, and B, feel even more like a video game, if that's possible. Done.
Fantastic.
Hi. Hiya.
Gizmo, where's the good boys? Gizmo. Oh, that's a clear win for Imperial Assault. Look at him go for that.
I told you he was one of the most famous rebels. I told you.
Hi, I'm Daniele and this is PlayCool. Today we're taking a look at Iguazu, a Haba production from the designer Michael Feldkötter. It plays from 2 to 4 players and it's a game a la Ticket to Ride in which we manage our hand and collect set of colored cards to put gems in a waterfall and collect points at the end of each round this way. It features a wonderful window which we talk about now and let's go directly to the pros and cons for this game. About the cons, I have to say in a vacuum I would recommend this game always. Like it is a very fun game, but we are not in a vacuum and Ticket to Ride exists already on the scene and this game doesn't offer much originality in comparison to such type of game. But this is one con, I would say, for people that know already this kind of game and want to try something new. This is not it. A second con, the drops of water that you have to place on each round, on each turn actually, to move forward the round and remember when you have to finish the round and understand when the scoring happens. This is something you have to do manually every turn and to keep track of every turn. And this is something fiddly I didn't like because it tends to be forgotten, in particular in the first games for new players, and it's something that they could be avoided maybe with some other type of tracking. Anyway, let's go to the cons because I like this game actually. And even though we're not in a vacuum, even though Ticket to Ride exists, Haba does it again and with top-notch quality of components makes this game anyway stand in the crowd proudly. And for people that, for example, have had too many games about trains and want to try some new settings, some fantasy setting with this wonderful artwork a la Avatar or a la Train Your Dragon, it's something I'd recommend. The second pro is the app feeling that this game offers. We have a window that slides on some plastic rails during the game and offers the chances to really have like an analog iPad on your board game. And this is something that I like very much. It is a nice touch. It is a gimmick, but I appreciated it and it's very well done. So overall, I like this game. Not very original, but nice production. And if you like the setting and like what you saw, give it a try. Talk to you next time.
Hi everyone, Anna here, and today we are talking about video games and not always board games. So let's go to my video game collection. And there we are. Besides playing board games, playing video games is one of my favorite things to do. Some board games just feel very inspired by video games, and I just want to show a couple of them that just made me feel like playing some of my favorite video games. One of the best looking games I have played has to be Fez, a 2D game in which a 3D world is created by turning the level around, in which way you are going to discover all these little secrets in all these different levels. The game just looks absolutely gorgeous and has this beautiful, a little bit gloomy look to it. A board game that really reminded me of Fez has to be Unearthed. In this game, you are a civilization, and there are all these places that you can dig up, and these are all wonders from the time before. The artwork just has the same color palette and the same little worlds that look around like you can turn them around, and there's something that's going to be explored also there. It has this beautiful 2D look, and it's a really fun dice chucking game. A video game that I had a lot of fun with this year, playing with my friends and cursing at them, has to be Overcooked. In this game, you are running a kitchen and you have to get all these orders out. These orders of soup, you have to chop, you have to make sure all those orders go out, you have to make sure all the dishes are clean, and every level has another look to it. It's just a really fantastic, chaotic game in which teamwork is of uttermost importance. A game that I was hoping would give me that same feeling had to be Kitchen Rush. In this game, the feeling of a kitchen is made timers that you can turn around. And you are only allowed to take your timer back because they are your workers when the sand has run out. Then you are allowed to get them to the spice rack, or maybe you have to get a new recipe. And so it's just like a worker placement, but with this lovely chaotic feel. You just have to get the most recipes done to finish them cooperatively. You really have to communicate with each other, just like in Overcooked. A game that I've played, I think, 3 times, all the levels, and I got all the special things that you can find in this game, has to be Rayman Legends. I love it for its music levels that are at the end of each world, like my boyfriend Peter is playing right now, and we will see at the end of this video if he made it all the way through in one run. Not to make you anxious or anything, Peter, I believe in you, you can do this. Board game that really reminded me of this excellent Rayman games and other games like Mario is going to be Looney Quest. In Looney Quest, everyone gets a piece of paper and, of course, a pencil, and they are going to try to draw in these little crazy levels. And in every level, the objective is going to be different. In some levels, you have to make circles around as many objects as possible. In other levels, it's going to be like a target practice, and you have to do all these dots. And on another level, you just have to get from point A to point B. But watch out, there are bumps, there are going to be enemies that are going to try to give you negative points. And the twist in the game is that everyone is drawing on this translucent sheet. And when everyone is going to try to score, everyone is going to put their translucent sheet on top of the level, and you are going to see how good you did. So that is going to be Looney Quest, which really reminds me of those Mario and Rayman games that I love so very much. Thank you for watching my video games that inspired board games video. I really love games. I love video games. I love board games. Just everything that's going to give me a great time playing with friends. And I really love that I could share some of my love for video games in this episode. Have a great blend, everyone, and have a great week.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris, and this is the Teacher's Lounge. If you're like me, you spent countless hours playing GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64, but also if you're like me, you teach board games a lot to your friends and to your family. So the Teacher's Lounge is a segment where we can talk about teaching recommendations, how to get better, get into the fun of games quicker. Today's game that surely feels like that first-person shooter experience is Adrenaline by CGE, Czech Games Edition. Now, CGE is known for a few things, for having very funny rulebooks and quite thematic games, and this one nails both of those. Adrenaline is a first-person shooter simulator where you get to run around and pick up mysteriously popping up cubes of ammo and put them into your supply. You can move spaces, you can move from one room to another in these brightly colored rooms that would never exist in real life. If you can line of sight see anybody, if you can look into a room, you can shoot them. This game has all the tropes of a fantastic first-person shooter, like laser swords, plasma guns, flamethrowers, and shotguns. So my teaching recommendation is teach this like you would teach a first-person shooter. Fast, exciting, really interesting to jump into. Don't worry about all of the small stuff. Some of those details will get ironed out over the course of the game. The rulebook does a great example of this idea, how you should teach the game. Here is the front page description. In a world of savage chaos, 5 combatants are locked inside a futuristic arena. Armed with sophisticated weaponry, their mission is to kill or be killed. Hopeless though the situation seems, bam, big pop-up from the purple character. Oh my, such doom and gloom. I'm shaking in my stylishly armored boots. When the rulebook talks about picking a starting location, she pops back up and says, just pick one. I think that's so great, because that's how you would teach a first-person shooter. You wouldn't go through and show them what every single weapon in the entire game functions and does. You say, pick up a gun and start shooting people. Now, there's lots of nuance to the game. This is not by any means a simple, simplistic game in that negative sense. But people want to know the excitement. When you shoot someone, when you finally get to sit in the room and you use the shotgun and you way overkill them, blam, you blast them into the next area, and you get to fill up their health track here, you get the kill. You get to remove one of these skulls from off the kill track, put it on them as an emblem of shame, and put one of your own blood markers on here as a token of your prowess with the laser sword or pokey stick or super glove. That's great. That's how this game should be taught, so that the excitement comes through. You as the rules teacher get to set the pace, set the feeling, and set the tempo of how the game's going to be played. If you teach it as a slow, thoughtful cube pusher about maximizing victory point values, that's how it's going to be played, and that does this game a little bit of a disservice. It's still a good game when played very slow, very thoughtfully, but if it's played as just tons of fun, just ridiculous and silly, like a first-person shooter in reality is, then you're going to have a lot more fun with this game. So, this recommendation doesn't always apply, but it's true that you as the rules teacher always get to set the tempo and the pace of the game. So use that responsibility wisely. I hope that this recommendation is great for you. If you have questions or comments or concerns or other ideas, then comment below and I'll respond under the name Meeple Overboard, a podcast that my wife and I do together that you are more than welcome to go check out.
Thanks for coming to the Teacher's Lounge and have a nice day.
For today's game under the radar, I'm taking a look at Dream Home here, which is a game that to me feels very much like one of those Sims kind of video games. Now in this one, you are not messing with the people themselves, it's the house. You are building their abode, so it's kind of a mix between, it's somewhere between, Sim City and The Sims. But I really enjoy it. It's a combination of a lot of very simple mechanisms to give you a game that is wonderful and very family friendly and does trigger in my head at least that little bit that I enjoy in building games, building video games, which is, sort of figuring out how I want things to look, where I want to put specific rooms in this case, and it just works for me. So the idea is you are going to be drafting cards, and that's one of the mechanisms in the game, a very simple mechanism where you flip over a couple of sets, and you, on your turn, take a set. That set includes 2 cards. And the cards are pieces of your roof, or they are rooms in the house itself, and you have to figure out where in the house that room goes, you know, because you'll have a bedroom, or a game room, or a bathroom, or maybe it's part of the garage, and you need to put that specifically in the garage. But also on top of that, some of the cards are going to give you little perks and little things that you can add to the house, you know, like a lamp. You can put that lamp somewhere, or a piano, or whatever, right? There's different things in the game. There's a few things you can add to the house to furnish it and make it a little bit nicer for you. And of course, they'll give you victory points. I really enjoy the way it all works together. I just haven't seen a lot of people playing this one. I'm not sure if it's getting a lot of attention now. I do suspect that perhaps the reason I haven't seen it being played out in the open is because folks are quite likely playing it at home, because it does have that very charming vibe that would go over well at home with the family. I think you could get, you know, the grandparents into this. You could play with the kids, you know, at the same table, because it is so charming and simple that it'll be a blast it'll be a breeze to teach and a blast to play. And it's so bright and colorful, and it just captivates you, you know. It's the kind of game that's going to bring people over to the table to give it a shot. Plus, everybody has one of these cool boards which represent your residence, and it starts empty like this, but you'll lay over it the cards that you are going to be using. I like that very much. So the whole thing is neat. I hope that, you know, if you haven't taken a look at it, you'll seek it out. The game, in fact, just had an expansion come out for it, so someone must be playing it, but I haven't seen anyone out playing it, and I'm suspecting that that's why it is. Very cool game. Dream Home is a blast. Simple. The combination of card collection, you know, feels like Rummy in some ways. The drafting is so simple that I think no one's going to be pushed out by the complexities of the game, which are, as I said, minimal. And so if you are looking for perhaps something that has a very approachable, pretty theme, and you're looking for a family weight game, Dream Home would be a good one for that. So give it a shot. Thanks for checking this one out. That is Dream Home for Under the Radar. I'll see you next time.
Howdy folks, welcome to Player Showdown. I'm Rebecca, and this is Hunter.
Today we are looking at Arcadia Quest. In Arcadia Quest, players are controlling a group of adventurers in fantasy-themed scenarios. You can play those scenarios individually or an entire campaign.
Now, Arcadia Quest may seem like another generic dungeon crawl. Not only do you have a group of characters you control that are fighting a bunch of different monsters, you're also fighting each other, just like a multiplayer online battle arena video game.
When players aren't busy killing each other, there's also monsters to kill, which basically explode into coins when they die.
Speaking of dying, if one of your characters meets its bitter end, it's not dead, it's only mostly dead. It will get to respawn.
Arcadia Quest works amazingly well 2 players. In fact, we played a full campaign over on our Family Showdown channel, and it had the most epic ending ever. That's enough to kill him if I have to whiff on all the crits.
You better whiff.
Here it goes.
Victory is mine! That was the closest insane battle ever. Yeah, you know, the dice actually seem to like me in this game. It's pretty good. So, if you want to try a dungeon crawl that has a little extra flair, a video game flair, you need to check out Arcadia Quest. Thank you so much.
Cool catchphrase!
Hey everybody, Andrew and Jess from Gameosity here, and today, in thinking about board games that feel like video games, that make you feel like you're in a game, we started talking about one of my favorite genres of game, which is the roguelike genre.
Those games where you die a lot.
Yeah, yes, admittedly. They're games that are kind of defined by how hard they are, and every time...
Start fresh every time.
Yes, and every time you play them, they're a little bit different, so it's not something you can kind of learn by rote, and they're all about sort of, you adapt, you survive as long as possible, you die, you start again. In thinking about the board games that we had, it's rare that a game kind of captures that feeling, although any game with like a good event deck has kind of shades of that, but a game that we think actually does a really good job of feeling like a roguelike game is Post-Human.
Now, just because I don't like roguelikes doesn't mean that I'm not going to like this too, because Post-Human also hits on something that I really enjoy. It feels a lot like one of my favorite games, Fallout.
Yeah, it has shades of that, just enough to it's that post-apocalyptic, moving through the wilderness, scavenging.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what Post-Human is.
Okay.
In Post-Human, all the players are trying to make it to the fortress, which is the last bastion of civilization. They'll do this by moving along the trail, having different encounters along the way.
Each player will be building their own unique map out of tiles, and along the way, they'll be having encounters, scavenging for supplies, finding equipment, and learning new skills.
Each player's character is comprised of a player board, which keeps track of their vital statistics, their health, their morale, their hunger, and even their inventory. Equipment comes in the form of cards, which can be used interchangeably. Players can equip melee weapons as well as ranged attacks, and they can even level up over time by using experience that they gain along the way.
Combat is dice-driven, with players optionally using bullets to use ranged weapons, and then closing for melee attacks.
All encounters bring players one step closer to the fortress and thereby ending the game. The game is won by the first player who manages to make it to the fortress, and then there's a series of tiebreakers if multiple players manage to do it at the same time. But there's also another endgame condition where no player survives the trip to the fortress and everyone's a mutant. So the things about Post-Human that I think make them feel the most like a video game for me are the fact that, first of all, the encounters, right? You flip over these 3 encounter decks, and they're in ascending difficulty, and you never really know what's coming next. Like, it's probably a combat, because the game is pretty combat-centric.
Like 80%.
And like many video games. But you may be doing a skill check to try and talk your way past something, or befriend somebody, or just make a choice about how you handle a situation. And I love that. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, my favorite part is that although the game will give you characters that you can play as, you can also build your own.
Yeah, that's very cool.
You get a set of skill points that you can spend on your skills any way you like.
You kind of just fill them in with little tabs.
And you'll get a random assortment of equipment and weapons and skills. And so every time you play, it can really feel fresh.
Yeah, you basically make these unique characters. And in doing so, you kind of have a new story every time you play through the game. And between that and the encounters, and maybe you get a follower, maybe you get some neat skills that suggest who your character is. It becomes this sort of emergent story. The other thing that I think is very video game-ish about it is the combat.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of determining your bonuses, rolling dice, and comparing values, and determining who hits when.
Yeah, and you have the turn-based strategy kind of.
Yeah, when I say the combat feels like a video game, I don't mean first-person shooter. I mean turn-based tactical.
Yeah.
But since it's all dice, and you need to make these decisions, your equipment affects how different things work. It's very neat.
It's also kind of cool because when you're fighting the mutants, there's always a chance that you're going to get a scar from the mutants.
Yeah.
And if you get enough scars, you can actually become a mutant.
Yeah, totally. When you get messed up enough out in the wasteland, there's the chance that you're gonna go mutant, and once you become a mutant, your victory conditions change entirely. You're not trying to get to the fortress to be safe. You want everybody to come join the mutant side, and so then it becomes player versus player. You really start going after the other members of the game, although it was never cooperative to begin with.
No. But it's interesting that it can go aggro if you let it.
And the other thing is, like, even the mutants are different because the scars you pick up determine what kind of mutant you are. So, like, in one game we had a mutation who just happened to work out super fast, stealthy claws, and then there was another mutant.
Yeah, I had the super mutant.
Yeah, just like tank, like
everything
super
was fighting.
Strong. Everything was just like battering ram punches and stuff. So the variability that's in here is very cool. The criticisms. The rules are written a little clunky. The rulebook probably could have been machined a little bit more, and I think that the combat is a little plodding at first, like until you really hit the groove.
Especially if you have 4 players, it can take a lot longer.
Yeah, for sure, because everybody has their encounter, or 2, depending on how they're exploring. But that said, once you get into the groove of things, it doesn't play slow. It actually plays 2 very well, we found anyway. But by and large, we think that Posthuman is a really interesting game. It's an intriguing take on this whole bringing a roguelike feel to the table. And there's an expansion to it that I somehow don't have yet, but I'm sure I'll fix that at some point, and what I hope the expansion brings is just more. Because more is what would make this game even better.
I'm hoping for more encounters that aren't just fighting.
Yeah.
It's really neat to see the little stories that are within the game.
For sure. Overall, I think Posthuman just hits those notes.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
And it could just as easily be a video game as a cardboard.
Totally.
But I'm actually glad it's in a box. Anyway, I'm Andrew and this is Jess from Gameosity. See you next game.
Hello everybody and welcome to the life of a board gamer. My name is Daniel. You probably played a game on a PC called Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, where you sneak around and try to infiltrate different sites and whatnot and steal some data or something like that. Well, Spectre Ops is kind of that game. First of all, you have this huge map, as you can see, and you will enter from one of the places and run around and try to get to different checkpoints and download some data or something like that. With your infiltrator agent, something like that. And there is also some hunters that will try to stop you in all that. You will use cards in this game. You will get these sheets with your character, so you know if you are the puppet or the beast or maybe the gun, she's a sniper, or the prophet. And there's also these guys who try to steal data. There's Cobra, there's Orangutan, Spider, and they all have different kinds of abilities. And all that aside, you will also get some cards with special stuff that you can do to throw off hunters, and so you get more chance to steal data from them. Hello everybody and welcome to the life of a board gamer. Today we are going to talk about a great game. The game that I really like and I really would like for you to see it for the first time and really give it a go, because it's really a great game. And all that would be nothing if you did not have great miniatures for this game. Now, some of these are painted because I started painting this but never got to finish it, which reminds me I have to finish this. First of all, we got this blue jay girl. and then we get this guy that's some kind of prophet or something like that. And my favorite is Cobra, but I painted him to look like Deadpool because Deadpool is cool. There's also a wolf guy and orangutan and lots of different stuff. Now, you are sneaking around. How you are doing this? You are doing that by on a piece of paper there is a mini map where you will track your progress. Like for example, this was one game we played where I started at N1 and I measured my progress where I was running, and right something somewhere over here I got caught and I lost the game. But that's really not that much of importance because the game is really fun, it's really interesting. Also, you get in these games lots of different kinds, you get some dice, some tokens to represent some points, and there's also a car in this game, so hunters can drive around and hunt you even better. And all that you want to know how to play. You need the rules, and rules are really not that big. It's like 6 or 8 pages maybe. And that's basically that. That's everything that comes in a box of Spectre Ops.
Banana.
Hey folks, Mark here, and welcome to Thinking Inside the Box. In this series, I'm focusing on components, inserts, storage solutions, and games that do all of the above really well. Now, one of my favorite games, still in my top 10, is Xia, Legends of a Drift System from Far Off Games, and it's one of our Corner Certified Award winners. Each player starts out as a lowly but hopeful captain of a small starship. Players will fly their ships about the system, completing a variety of missions, exploring new sectors, and battling other ships. Navigating hazardous environments, captains can choose to mine or trade valuable commodities. Players will compete with each other for titles, riches, and most importantly, fame. Customize your starship, explore, trade, mine, and fight, and become the legend. Xia is a 3 to 5 player sandbox style game. Now, Xia truly is that sandbox experience in a board game. You get to do trading, you get to mine and explore the galaxy, and try to run from pesky pirates, or perhaps become a pirate yourself. But bottom line is that you get to decide. And that brings us to this Blender theme. So many aspects of Xia play out like a video game, even going back to the old text-based game Trade Wars. And like so many big box games, I'm always looking for a way to optimize and organize the game for easy setup and storage. Meeple Realty truly delivers on this. The thing I love about their inserts is the originality and innovative approach they take with everything they do. I'm super impressed with their insert for Xia, appropriately named the Xia Station. Not only does it fit in the base game, but all the new bits and pieces from the expansion Embers of a Forsaken Star have their own specialty trays. Okay, let's dive in. The individual ship trays are amazing. You have trays for each level of ship, as well as all the NPCs, and even has room for all the comets. Each ship tray has hinged doors that give the impression of a docking system in a space station. And the outfits of the game are ship upgrades, shields, weapons, and engines. The tray is pretty slick as it stacks and locks into place to keep all the pieces secure. And the ship mat tray also features an interlocking system to keep the special tokens and player boards secure and ready for play. It also features several trays for all the resources and tiles, and a nice card tray system with descriptive tabs for keeping things organized. All in all, everything fits snug and back into the original box for easy setup. So how is the construction, you might be asking? This is definitely more on the medium to advanced level as far as building these types of inserts go. But the payoff is huge here. There are some small pieces to punch and put together, so take care while building. I had a little trouble with a couple, got a little carried away with the rubber mallet, but glue is your friend. I also plan to fully stain my copy going with Zaya colors. I've got one ship tray done and ready to go. I'll post more pictures when I have it completed. So make sure you go check out both Far Off Games and Meeple Realty. I'm a big fan, and Zaya and this insert work so well together. Just, it's worth a look, especially if you like Zaya. This really keeps things organized. I can't recommend it enough. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Happy organizing, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Hello friends of the blend, and welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. Today I had to think long and hard about a game that actually feels like you're playing a video game. Well, my pick actually was a video game. Here I have Berserk, published in 1983 by Milton Bradley. This is a two-player game in which you're trying to make it out of a maze without getting hit by the robots or the evil auto. Let me set this up and show you how it works. So this is what the game board will look like set up. You put the robot pawns on the starburst there, the evil auto pawn here on the evil auto space, and the humanoid player on this space right here. Every player is going to get 3 chips. This represents your 3 lives, just like in the video game. The game is played in 3 rounds. Each round, one player will be the humanoid and one player will be the evil auto and control all the robots. After the humanoid is either destroyed or makes it out of the maze, then it's the other person's turn to be the humanoid, and the other player will be the evil auto. So you'll continue doing this for 3 rounds. Every turn, the humanoid player will roll a 6-sided dice and move that many spaces, up, down, left, or right. You cannot cross the walls here, and you cannot land on the same space as a robot or the evil auto. Now, to destroy a robot, you just need to be adjacent to that robot. Here, 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 or here. Now, let me show you why, to me, this feels like an actual video game. Now, after the humanoid player is done with his die roll and done destroying robots, it is now the evil auto and his robot's turn to go. Now, again, you roll a 6-sided dice, and evil auto cannot move until at least 2 robots have been destroyed off the board. So the robots will just divide their turn by whatever pips you roll. So example, I moved a 2, I can move this robot 2 squares, or I can move them 1 square and another robot 1 square. Now again, the robots can just move up and down, left and right, but not diagonally, and they cannot move through the walls. For the robots to destroy the humanoid player, they have to be adjacent to that player, either here, 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 or here. If they land there by exact count, the humanoid is destroyed, and that player loses 1 life chip. So after 2 robots are destroyed, then you can start moving the evil auto player. Now, the evil auto can move in any direction. Up, down, left, right, and he can even move diagonally. And he ignores all walls. Now, to destroy the humanoid, the evil auto player can just be on any square that's adjacent to the humanoid player. And then the humanoid player gets destroyed and loses 1 of his life chips. After evil auto is out of his starting space, that is the exit to the maze for the humanoid player. If the humanoid player can make it all the way to the exit, the round is over, and then he scores his points of robots that he destroyed. Each robot is destroyed is worth 10 points. If he destroys all 6 robots, he gets an extra bonus of 60 points for a total possible of 120 points per round. Now, when I play this board game, to me, it definitely feels like I'm playing a video game. For the fact that you get 3 lives, just like in the real video game, and especially if you get down really low, and then when you zap the guys, it feels like you're playing a first-person shooter. Well, that's all the time I have for now. May your rolls be high.
Didn't fight like a robot. The humanoid must not escape.
And that's going to do it for us on this episode, everybody. A big thanks to you for tuning in, and as always, a big thanks to all of my contributors. If you would like to be a contributor to Board Game Blender yourself and join our little family, contact me, send me an email with your idea for a segment, and hey, you might be in our next Board Game Blender episode. So that's going to be it for this time. As always, hey, do not forget, have yourself a good time and stay a friend of the blend. I'll see you.